It's kind of unique in that people from the business community are out interacting with kids in their classroom setting. It provides an opportunity for dialogue that a lot of kids really don't have.
It's very important. It lets them know that they really are important and that they are doing something that people appreciate and that they are still an important part of our community.
Dogs and cats are not always the most sanitary, but concerns of germs take a back seat for these sick kids. Health experts have found pets have an incredible healing power. Tonight on Live at 5, we'll tell you about one Wisconsin hospital that's seeing miracles with pet therapy. Also at 5 in our entertainment report, Denzel Washington is investing in a new pay TV channel that will showcase African-American actors. I'm Barbara Riles. Join me for details of these stories and more tonight at 5.
Of the communities that truly took care of their people.
To more than 800 members each, if they joined the city's AIDS Walk team and walk an incredible talent. She won rave reviews for...
My outlook started to change. I even became an APL had taken place 3 years before I joined APLA.
To the board of APLA, Dana Miller. I just want to hear about the wedding night. I can say something, but there are a lot of kids here.
It's called LexisNexis, and unless you use their services, you probably don't know much about them, but they certainly know a lot about you. An online service provided by LexisNexis called P-Track will provide information including your full name, your date of birth, past and present addresses, your phone number, even if it is unlisted, all for a price. However, this service is not available to just anyone.
Primary users of LexisNexis, primary customers are like law firms, corporations, government agencies, law enforcement agencies, things of this nature. It is a business-to-business service. It is not a consumer online service.
Now recently, the internet has been full of people expressing fear that they're being made targets of crime. They say anyone interested can find out your social security number, your credit history, how much money you have in the bank, your medical history, and even your mother's maiden name. Here's an example of some of the concerns showing up on the internet. Now, one of the complaints says there are no controls on its use. Anyone with access to the account, including clerks, students in law libraries, and others, can access it. The account is not cheap, but it is not incredibly expensive. LexisNexis denies that they include this confidential information. They say they used to include social security numbers as part of their dossier information, but they stopped doing that after the service's introduction. LexisNexis says that concerns from their customers about the use of social security numbers for fraudulent purposes brought about their decisions to not make those numbers available. If you're among those concerned about this service, you can visit the LexisNexis website to find out how to remove your name. On the internet, Chris Hussey, Channel 6 News.
Jason shot all of them. Say again, quadrant. Quadrant 496, bubble level 6.
This is not a Wall Street tax cut. This is a family tax cut. This is a Main Street tax cut. 15% across. Let's take a family making $30,000 a year. That's $1,261.
But our targeted tax cut for education, child rearing, health care, and home buying, which is paid for in my balanced budget plan, something that he has not done, certified by the Congressional Budget Office, that's the right way to go.
Thank you very much for being with me today, everybody. It makes a huge difference. Much about now our atomic veterans, but he knows that many of them The issue is, what in the world priorities are we talking about, where on the one hand you have a Gingrich and you have a Republican majority and you have Rudy Bosch, which wants the Pentagon to have $12, $13 billion more than the Pentagon says it needs for strong defense, and at the same time they want to cut health care for men and women who've served this country.
And that man is Paul Wellstone. We need him, and we want you to return him home disabled. During Vietnam, 58,000 were killed, and over 300,000 of us returned home disabled. So we need someone in the Congress.
More than 4 million people in the U.S. and Canada are in the care of an orthodontist. 1/4 of these patients are over the age of 18, but some are as young as 2 or 3. In fact, the American Association of Orthodontists recommends that every child be examined no later than age 7.
An early screening is important. Oftentimes we simply say, let's wait and see. And of course this does quite a bit to ease a parent's mind. But generally speaking, the earlier we diagnose the problem, the better.
The goal of early orthodontic treatment is to correct problems that, if ignored, may be harder to remedy later in life. But the good news is it's never too late for braces. Healthy teeth can be moved at any age.
Just because you're no longer a child or a teenager doesn't mean that it's too late. Straight teeth not only look better, they work better, and they last longer at any age.
While a beautiful, healthy smile is the most obvious result of orthodontic treatment, braces can boost self-esteem as well. Countless families have discovered the benefit of braces. Many are like Peggy and Stephen Garrett.
I feel it's important to bring your children in to see an orthodontist early to see where their teeth are developing and whether they'll need braces or if there are things that can be done to prevent the necessity of braces.
The benefits of braces can last a lifetime, and while it may be best to start early, remember, it's never too late. Here's to your health. Michelle Lee, Channel 6 News.
So we don't want to damage and destroy those people that are getting what most people don't realize is
nothing to do with changing people getting out of prison earlier.
We hope the community grabs a hold of this the way we have. We hope that they're interested, and we hope that they can understand that nothing is changing except that now they know.
Around you, and fly fishing itself is more than just fishing. Fishing is just one of the sports of fly fishing. There's fly tying. There's fly casting, which is a sport in and of itself. Entomology, you bet. Learning about all the insects, what they do.
I also view it as in a strange sort of way as a kind of an art form, I think. Remember the first year I tied and went out there, and my flies would just fall apart in the water, but I'm learning.
Fly fishing in particular is a lot easier to learn than most people believe. It's a different type of fishing, but it really gets in your blood, and it's really can be more effective than any other type of fishing.
Based upon how much fishing you do. If you're just going to fish one weekend, during the summer, buy your flies. If you're going to be retired or have a lot of time in the summer, then tie your flies.
I got into it again as a relaxation. I enjoy tying flies and building rods and fly fishing. It isn't necessarily that fishing is the only thing. It's the enjoyment of the beauty around you, the enjoyment of the things that are happening around you.
We're getting into more of a catch and release program in this country because of the increased interest in fishing. And the more fishermen you have, definitely the fewer fish you'll have unless you release them.
There are too many of us trout fishing now to be keeping all the trout or killing all the trout that we catch.
It's an enjoyable sport.
Sure. Yeah, because even in the down season, you've got something to do. Right.
It really does take every single person, all ages, working together to make communities healthier, better, stronger places for children.
Now to be able to share my message with audiences across this country, books, and working on a board behind. So certainly that was one of my goals to play tennis, but that wasn't the only goal that I had. I knew I wasn't going to be
The major issues will be access to affordable housing, to adequate health care, to opportunities to work at livable wages.
We'd have as many as 1,500 people that would sleep.
It is the beginning. It is a new era, and we are going to continue to make Duluth, northeastern Minnesota, a home for aviation and a center for future development of aviation in North America. Thank you all for being here. Smile!
Halloween can be a truly scary holiday for people who don't prepare for it safely. Emergency room doctors say they've seen everything from accidental pumpkin carving cuts to falls caused by unsafe costumes.
For mask-related cases where kids wore masks, they couldn't see quite well. It was a safety issue in terms of traffic, that type of thing. But
more of the people are using more makeup, which is obviously much safer now than...
But Chelsea's biggest concern is what to be this year for Halloween. But her father's biggest concern is her safety.
You know, I always have to look at the candy. I mean, you don't want to take anything that's unwrapped or, you know, and stay away from like fruits and stuff, you know. And if you go to the people that you know, it's definitely the safest bet.
As you send your kids out, there are some other safety tips to keep in mind. Make sure they have flashlights or glow sticks to light their way, and so others can see them. Wear light-colored costumes, or if dark-colored, use reflective tape on costumes so children can be seen. Cut large eye holes in masks so children can see through them. Police say most importantly, your safest bet is in numbers.
Kids should go out in groups, and if they're really young, the parents should walk alongside of them. The kids should carry flashlights and have them on if they're out after dark.
Police and doctors say if you follow these tips, you should be able to avoid a trip to the emergency room. In Duluth, I'm Molly Boyum for Channel 6 News.
The air in Central High School is less than pure. In fact, it's been the focus of a major cleanup effort over the past few months. This team of air quality experts is working to clean out clogged air filters and replace defective parts in the air exchange system.
We started out eventually with the office area. Collapsed duct was a problem. Contaminated air systems.
The effects of the project are apparent. Randy Verda says improvement in air quality is dramatic.
Had huge response, very favorable response from staff and students that the air quality has improved. A lot of comments about staff that went home with headaches on a regular basis no longer do.
Central is just part of a major effort to purify the air in Duluth schools. It's a project that ranks high on the district's priority list.
Absolutely, it's a priority that we're in the process of developing procedures that will allow us to prioritize buildings first and work on the buildings that we know have the greatest problems first.
A U.S. Accounting Office study shows 19% of the nation's schools have unsatisfactory indoor air, and Minnesota ranks as the 7th worst in the nation. The indoor air quality was rated as unsatisfactory in 30% of Minnesota schools and in 12% of Wisconsin schools. Health experts say bad air quality can be very dangerous for children.
And that would trigger or could trigger an already sensitive airways that gets smaller and you have an asthma episode requiring medication.
Engineering experts say Duluth's problem is made worse by the fact that so many of our schools are old. They also say not enough attention has been paid to the careful maintenance of schools' air quality in the past. In Duluth, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
It's around 2:37.
The pouring rain continued to pound the pavement all day and all night, bringing floods, overflowing storm sewers, and to Northlanders, inconvenience.
Let me first of all just say to each and every one of you that we would not have been able to win this race for Minnesota and the country without all that you have done. I want to say to Minnesotans, I believe that it's just wrong that people should go without health care. We must have universal health care coverage. But if we can't, but I understand what I'm hearing from people in Minnesota. You need to listen to people. And if we can't do it all at once, then let's at least move forward. Let's make sure that we have affordable health care for children. Let's have home-based health care. Let's have health care for elderly people with dignity.
I would not be here tonight if it was not for you. You believed in him. You kept on working for him. You said that you knew you believed in him. And because of that, we're going to have him for 6 more years as the voice of Minnesota. And here he is.
everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me first of all Jill and I drove up because northern Minnesota is a second home, because there were probably more attack ads per person in northern Minnesota than anywhere else in the country, and people in northern Minnesota, I think, just saw through it, and they gave me a real vote of confidence. And I want people in northern Minnesota to know that, you know, everything I've said, and I think people do know it about children and education and issues that are important to work in families. This will be my work in the next 6 years, and I will work hard for people.
Monday and Tuesday, the other two guys.
They had an excellent summer. Once summer got started, we had good growing conditions, and we had a fantastic crop of acorns, hazelnuts, and the like. So the deer that survived the winter should be in excellent shape and should be going into this winter in very good condition. So the deer herd that's here is in excellent shape, but the numbers are low.
One of the main things that we're doing is we're making ice cream out of the regular ingredients, but we're using liquid nitrogen to cool it, to super cool it, and it takes about 15 minutes. So on their way out, everyone gets a little taste of ice cream made by liquid nitrogen.
Tower. Go around, sir.
Sir.
Your captain is crazy.
I'm not the warden. If someone jumps ship, I can't control it.
This is deadly serious, Captain.
I have security police all around your aircraft, and I am under orders to absolutely prevent any human being from leaving that airplane. That is a deadly force authorized order. Do I make myself crystal clear?
Crystal.
This is a frightening scenario. Is it possible, do you think, that this could really happen?
Oh, I think it's just a matter of time, Barbara. One of these days, someplace in the world, we're going to have a level 4 virus, something as bad as Ebola Zaire, that's terribly communicable, maybe by air even, get on an airliner in the form of an infected person and be projected into the international air system. The problem is, if we find out about this before the airplane lands, how is the host country where that airplane is headed going to have to react to this? And that was the thing that really set this story in motion, is all the reactions and overreactions of the different countries and even our own in the form of the CIA.
As an author, did the characters that you made up in your book, did they translate well to the screen?
They translated marvelously well. Matter of fact, Rick Anderson, who plays the captain, played him exactly as I wrote him, and this is an introspective captain, like so many, tens of thousands of captains out there. Not like me, I'm a little bit more outgoing, but James Holland just wants to fly airplanes, and he has to come out of his shell and take command. And for 15 years, deregulation has been beating him into a box, so to speak, and what he could and couldn't do. All the characters in here really come across so well in terms of the way I wrote them. Robert Loggia, for instance, from Independence Day, played the CIA chief precisely as I wrote him.
This is your acting debut. You play the Air Force chief. What do you think of that?
Oh, I really just enjoyed that tremendously. I got 4 words, but I got to run down the hallway with some world-class actors. Ed Herman, who's much taller than I am, who played in Franklin and Eleanor as our president. And matter of fact, we should have elected him when the election occurred. He just is perfect for the office. But I had a lot of fun with it. I'm going to get my Screen Actors Guild card, and hopefully in Hitchcockian style, in any of my books that go into film, you'll see me peek in there.
What we found out was that youth are primarily concerned about their grades, how they get along with their parents, how they get along in their communities.
You know, the colder it is, the more often I read it to make sure I'm not going to run out of fuel oil.
Denise Hansen of Duluth is a single working mother trying to provide for herself and her 15-year-old daughter.
You know, the colder it is, the more often I read it to make sure I'm not going to run out of fuel oil.
Denise Hansen of Duluth is a single working mother trying to provide for herself and her 15-year-old daughter. But this winter, they may have to cut back on some of the things that other families enjoy, like movies or going out to eat. See, Denise used to qualify for heating assistance, but because of changes to the program this year, she won't get that extra money. And with higher oil prices, she's starting to worry.
Well, I know it's going to be a lot of juggling around. I don't know where the juggling is going to be right at this moment, but I just know that financially there's going to be a lot of juggling, and I know, Christmas is going to be at an all-time probably low this year.
Here's how high those prices are getting. In 1995, number 2 oil, which is the most common form used in home heating, was averaging 89 cents a gallon. This year, it's up to $1.12. Oil companies say those prices are based on the worldwide market and are up to their supplier.
I had it filled late this summer, and this is so far what we've used for this season.
Most homes use anywhere from 90 to 150 gallons a month. So for people like Denise, that may mean $200 or more tacked on to last year's fuel bills, depending on how hard Mother Nature strikes.
You can't live without heat.
Catherine Peterson is the executive director of CAP, the organization that provides heating assistance to people in Duluth. This week, they will send out their first round of grants. But she says that with higher fuel prices and federal dollars slashed, many families like Denise's may be on the brink of an emergency.
And people are already making impossible choices. They will, not buy food or they will not buy medicine in order to pay their heating costs.
Denise is making those choices as well, waiting for the Northland winter to take its course.
It's just one day or 1 week at a time.
In Duluth, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
The pouring rain continued to pound the pavement all day and all night, bringing floods, overflowing storm sewers, and to Northlanders, inconvenience. Many Northlanders experienced the mighty power of nature, forcing herself into their homes. The wet carpet, leaky ceilings, and stained walls are a lasting reminder of the heavy rain. Michelle Horner says at first she thought she left the window open.
Well, I heard the drip and I thought, oh, maybe I didn't shut the window, but turned out to be more than that. Dripping from the ceiling, out phone jacks, and we had lost our phone for the afternoon until it kind of started drying up.
Renters say they are bothered by the unwelcome rain, but it's a part of life.
It's wet. It's going to be kind of an inconvenience, but we'll make do with what we can. Probably be staying in a hotel for quite a while.
Apartment managers are working around the clock to try and prevent any further damage.
We had a lot of praying and a lot of laughter, and we just have been working since Friday morning about 4:30. We've just been at it. So we've got good managers who've been on the site and doing our best. We can't make it perfect, but we're just trying to do what we can.
Some residents say they're not worried about the leaking in the apartments. It's stopped for now because the water on the roof is frozen. Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
There's quite a, there's really, when you get right down there, there's quite a bit of responsibility. I mean, it costs just what? It's missing that from all of us. Boy, I'm trying to think of an analogy. I can't. If it doesn't work, it doesn't, what do you do? You can't just think of how it impacts the people on the point, but how about the harbor? You've got all the vessels and all, I mean, there's a lot of people in this harbor that are affected by with a weak up or down.
know that she stopped using using it after the investigation. She stopped.
No, Madam Chair.
Well, again, I want to thank.
I think that I've been punished enough. I pleaded guilty to a charge that cost me $600. I'm owing at least $15,000 to $20,000 in legal fees. The public humiliation. I've made the papers more times than O.J. Simpson did for quite a while.
By showing them that I am not something they read about in a newspaper or read about in a book. They can come see me, and I'm a very human being. And they say, well, you did it. How'd you go about it? Now, what did you do? And I can communicate that with them.
They don't care what happens to the individual. They weren't there when my mother was forced to sell her lake home because she was too poor to live in it anymore.
And I mean rock-headed. Then I think it probably did more harm to Ely. It was probably a group of people whose minds had already been made up long since, and who showed up to confirm one another's biases in the matter. And having done so, probably do not accurately reflect the feelings of the people in the Ely area.
At first glance, this painting could be a cross-pollination of 19th century expressionism and pointillism, but at second glance, it's a guy on a toilet. Welcome to the Museum of Bad Art in Dedham.
Our slogan is, art too bad to be ignored.
And bad art it is. Ugly.
Oh, we would prefer the word spectacular.
Rank amateur.
Breathtaking.
And tacky, but don't tell that to the staff.
The piece is very remarkable for the highlighted facial contour.
Yeah, and blue lips.
Little sort of like nuclear fallout thing going there.
Possibly, yes, with the hair as well.
Those with an eye for bad art see all sorts of things here.
It's the monkey with the Betty Davis eyes. He's grooming the clown with the 4 o'clock shadow. The way monkeys do, then they groom each other. There's a lot of tenderness in this piece.
What is going on here?
Mary Todd Lincoln.
Composed of paint and plastic flowers on lace.
This could have been somebody's tablecloth.
Oh,
I may touch it.
Yeah, as long as you don't lick the paintings, we discourage licking.
And they say there's deep meaning. Check out this piece entitled Madonna with Smile, or this one called Haircut.
What is this?
Complete with the museum curator's cat hair.
It was a Persian. You know how they get those big clumps?
But don't think it's easy to look this cheap. Many pieces simply aren't bad enough to hang on the museum's walls.
This green dragon here is an example of rejected bad art.
Apparently, though, just wasn't bad enough.
9 out of 10 paintings are rejected from the museum. We have our standards and they're very, very low.
Number 1.
No velvet at all.
And number 2, no deliberately bad art. They're trying to be legitimate here, okay? They've got a glossy catalog and bumper stickers. The artists would want it that way. Oh yes, the artists. Well, some proudly signed their works, but most were donated by a guy named Unknown.
Huck's that squad there because he's the Minneapolis squad. He's more in contact than I am.
I was here at 5:30 and they had...
Everyone agrees that anti-lock brakes work like magic to maintain control of a car during a sudden stop on a test track. The car on top doesn't have anti-lock brakes. The car on the bottom has them. But a new study by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety finds if you drive a car with anti-lock brakes, you and your passengers are more likely to die in a crash. But you're less likely to kill those in a car you hit. Why is that? No one knows for sure, but some experts say many drivers take too many chances because they have anti-lock brakes. Another problem is that many drivers simply don't know how to use their anti-lock brakes correctly. You think the right thing to do is to pump the brakes?
Yeah, I would think it would be, yeah.
That's the wrong thing.
I see, I didn't know that.
When you hit them, how do you hit them? You know how to use ABSs?
I'm not quite sure, no. I don't.
People have been trained to pump their brakes if going into a sudden stop. But that's not the way you're supposed to operate anti-lock brakes.
With anti-lock brakes, you hold firmly on the brake pedal as hard as it takes to stop the car.
And it pumps automatically.
That's correct.
The insurance group also says there are some conditions when anti-lock brakes actually make stopping distances longer, like loosely packed snow, gravel, and sand. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety still recommends anti-lock brakes in areas that get snow and ice, but you have to know how to use them. The best way to do that is to read your owner's manual and practice hard braking on a wet surface. Herb Denenberg for NBC News.
She's scared to death now.
She's run away from me 10 times.
Have you got a flannel? Am I on one?
They fix these.
Oh, okay, good.
One of the potential in this case could be some type of refund for consumers, but the difference.
The Salvation Army in Duluth is helping over 1,400 families this Christmas season. They are giving toys away to those who need a little help in giving their families a Christmas this year. This is possible because of donations given to programs like Operation Rudolph.
It's been steady since we started at 9 o'clock, and this will go until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then also tomorrow and the next day. And we have beautiful toys that have been donated. We're very pleased.
And these families are pleased too. This is Sherry's first year in Duluth and found it was harder than she thought to keep up with the holidays.
I'm here for my 4 kids. We had a rough time this year because we had to buy snow tires and bills and everything else. So it's going to help them out a lot.
Dwayne is here finding that special gift for his family.
Well, to get some toys for my cousins and stuff so they can have some toys for Christmas.
don't get a lot of money to buy toys and stuff, so I came down here and got some help from them.
The Salvation Army has been helping families for over 100 years. They know some of these people will give back to the programs and to their communities.
Well, they are very, very thankful that they have this opportunity. But they also, many of the people who receive assistance sometimes will come back and be volunteers after their luck has changed.
The families and volunteers at the Salvation Army know this couldn't happen without the help of neighbors in the Northland giving to programs like Operation Rudolph. In Duluth, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
It's a lot of fun to study a culture, get to know things about it, and just make artifacts from it. It's really fun.
The mad rush is on to find the perfect gift, and shoppers are buying out stores with everything from leather to lace.
Okay. Different colors, or the silk ones are up front if you want.
Mike Brandt is shopping for his girlfriend Jeannie.
Yeah, there's a few things in here that I've been looking at. A couple stocking stuffers.
I'd say there's probably a lot of things in here you've been looking at.
Yeah?
Finding gifts for that special someone isn't hard. Knowing the size is another issue.
Nobody seems to know what size their husband wears, and they generally guess small.
Even though they lived together all those years, they have no idea?
They generally, in a lot of cases, don't. So we do the question and answer, Doug's 20 questions, and we generally nail it down just right.
Almost done shopping?
Not even close. Catherine Keel and her friend drove up from Solon Springs. They came a long way, and they have a long way to go.
I just started actually about 2 hours ago, and I found one thing that I wanted, so.
How many things are on your list?
Quite a few, probably about 20 or 30 things, so.
So you've got a long ways to go.
Yes.
Did you wear comfortable shoes?
For the weather, yeah.
Did you eat a healthy breakfast?
Lunch.
So you're shopping for the person who has everything and you don't know what to buy? Well, we have a suggestion. Who would not want this? Okay, so maybe not a jackal, but one thing is for sure. If you've got a list to fill, the stores are more than willing to help, no matter what your taste. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Well, we were delayed in Hibbing, and then we had to ride a bus down to here to catch the plane to the city, so we might catch the plane to Phoenix. We might, if we're lucky.
We were to leave at 7:20 this morning, and then they overbooked the flight, and the plane got changed, so we're waiting until 12:50.
Throughout Duluth International Airport, travel horror stories are the norm. Holiday flights are busier than ever, and combined with terrible weather, that's creating a domino effect, adding up to lots of delays.
I was informed this morning when I came in that the flight I was going to take from Minneapolis to National Airport was canceled, but they put me on a 2:30 flight, and that'll get me in there about an hour and a half later.
Getting out of Duluth is one thing. Arriving from Minneapolis was a different nightmare, as flight upon flight was canceled.
It was dog eat dog. It was terrible. You just had to find a corner and lay down. It looked like a war. There was
people everywhere, laying on benches. I mean,
And despite all the hassles, most people we talked with still had some holiday spirit in them, hoping Christmas might come early by arriving at their destination finally.
When you're traveling, you have to be philosophical. You either make it or you don't make it. If you don't make it, it's nobody's fault.
And actually, over the last few years, we watched kind of it teeter off, and it's a lot less like it used to be. It used to be lines for hours, and it's really not that way. Now we see about a week after the day after is where we see lines kind of building back up.
The National Transportation Safety Board report is providing more details to what happened to that VK-30 test plane that crashed the afternoon of March 22nd of this year. Former Space Shuttle astronaut Robert Overmyer was killed in that crash. Overmyer was a test pilot for Cirrus, which means it was his job to find out how planes handled in all situations while flying.
That was a kit plane that was being built just for company use. It's completely unrelated to the SR-20, which we're building now and are going to be certifying. And that was an experimental airplane, and it's kind of the nature of test flight to push things a little bit farther than you would if you were just flying it recreationally.
Scott Anderson was flying behind the VK-30 like this one when Overmyer was conducting stall experiments. He was responsible for watching the aircraft while Overmyer conducted the tests. He and another co-worker watched as something went terribly wrong with their experiment that day. These witness reports released by the NTSB tell the tragic story. One witness wrote, "The plane began to bank right until it was fully inverted. I thought Bob had gotten a hold of it, but then the plane began to spin downward. The plane was now nearing the ground at almost a vertical spin and frightfully fast." Two witnesses, including Scott, said moments before the plane slammed into the ground, it looked like the pilot tried to escape out the door of the plane. But the two eyewitnesses following behind the test plane did not see the plane hit the ground.
He was too far below us, and just went into the trees, and we never saw anything beyond that.
But everyone at Cirrus agrees Bob Overmyer was a great pilot who had the experience needed for this job. His flight logbook showed the amount of time he spent testing planes to make them safe. In fact, this log shows he had flown the VK-30 4 times in the month before his death. The investigation into this fatal crash continues, and no exact cause has been found. In Duluth, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
These banks were all cleared out a couple days ago. They're completely flat like the streets. Now as you can see, they're like 2-3 feet high.
Get to on this Thursday. We're going to the internet, huh?
Yeah, looking for love in all the wrong places.
Ain't that the truth? Station break. Game on yesterday, a terrific Rose Bowl game, won by Ohio State. You knew that.
Yeah,
beat Arizona State.
I knew that because I heard it
Gotcha.
in the news.
For Arizona State wide receiver Keith Poole, who played in the Rose Bowl game yesterday, was a dream come true, even though his team didn't win. As we'll see in just a couple of moments, it was a dream come true for his brother as well. Nice story. We got an awful lot to get to on this Thursday. We're going to the internet, huh?
Yeah, looking for love in all the wrong places.
I offer a resolution which calls for the postponement of the election of the Speaker of the House.
On this vote, the yeas are 222 and the nays are 210.
Barton of Texas.
Let me say to the entire House that 2 years ago, when I became the first Republican Speaker in 40 years, to the degree I was too brash, too self-confident, or too pushy, I apologize. To whatever degree in any way that I have brought controversy or inappropriate attention to the House, I apologize. But this has been a very difficult time. And to those who agonized and ended up voting for me, I thank you.
Major Woodbury's F-16 was discovered by a Coast Guard helicopter just before noon Thursday. The impact of the plane created a large crater, and the aircraft was found in several pieces. Because the wreck was found 3 miles from the nearest road, the first people on the scene had to be airlifted in.
Upon the initial discovery was we had one of the helicopters from the Minnesota Army National Guard came up and inserted 4 of the security police members to do an initial securing of the scene.
At the same time the helicopter was landing the security team, a bombardier-style tracked vehicle was sent in to clear a trail to the site. Waist-high snow and heavy tree cover made that a difficult task. Reports from the scene indicate that no sign was found of the pilot, Major Peter Woodbury.
The pilot is currently listed as missing. He is our primary focus at this point in time, of course. What we have done right now is the crews that are going in are making assessments which will help us better determine a good location to start searching for this individual.
The air and ground search for Major Woodbury will continue today.
I can't speak for everybody, but the initial finding of the aircraft is very exciting, and we're just waiting to hear more. We're going to take it one step at a time right now, and that's about the best we can do.
And the officers then went to stop another pickup truck, and the occupants fled. And shortly thereafter, then the officers received a report that that was a stolen pickup truck. And the officers searched the area and located a suspect.
They're stopping like a couple different. There's a couple different events happening simultaneously,
Right.
so they have trouble getting air.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The weather was freezing but sunny as William Jefferson Clinton took the oath of office from Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist, a ritual of democracy as old as the Republic.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good luck.
Cannons fired a 21-gun salute as the president embraced the First Lady and 16-year-old daughter Chelsea. In his inaugural address, Mr. Clinton noted the presidency fell on the edge of a new century and a new millennium.
The promise we sought in a new land, we will find again in a land of new promise.
And with the new promise, the president issued a strong call for racial harmony and sense of community on this Martin Luther King Day. Heading for the center, if not Republican territory, though, Clinton said the new vision of government was smaller, its budget balanced. And he called for an end to partisan political fighting.
The American people returned to office a president of one party and a Congress of another. Surely they did not do this to advance the politics of petty bickering and extreme partisanship they plainly deplore.
That call may soon fade, but today it was a day to celebrate. Thousands marched and rode up Pennsylvania Avenue toward the White House in the traditional inaugural parade. The Clintons walked some of the way. Bill Clinton is the first Democrat to be reelected to the White House since Roosevelt. So after the inaugural balls get started tonight, don't expect to see the first family home until well after midnight. Sandy Gilmore, NBC News, Washington.
Come down here.
From the size of the crowds on the streets of Green Bay yesterday, it appeared as if the entire city skipped school and work to welcome the victorious Packers home. Throngs of fans waited patiently as their team wound its way through the city en route to a victory ceremony at Lambeau Field. To at least one Packer supporter, divine intervention and Reggie White are what sent the team to the top.
Well, we're looking for Reggie White because we figure God's a Packer fan. He made Reggie's dream come true.
There you go.
And as far as you look at the Packers team, they're role models for the younger kids growing up.
The ceremony at Lambeau Field started 2.5 hours late, but the delay did not dampen the enthusiasm of the 65,000 fans who filled the stadium.
I am extremely honored to be a Green Bay Packer. I think everybody on this team are honored. We accomplished something great yesterday. It's been a long time coming, not only for you, but for myself.
And now that the Packers are Super Bowl champs for the 3rd time, merchandisers are eyeing up huge profits from Packer Mania. Miller Brewing already has a commemorative beer can ready, and $400,000 worth of Packer Hummel figurines are expected to move today alone. For Channel 6 News, I'm Dave Anderson reporting.
God bless you.
That we have, already missed so many days, so we don't want to take a lot of days for what some people might call fluff things.
Saying that they've missed school here is something of an understatement. With a snowbank half covering his office window, McRae High School principal Gary Sims looks over a calendar that has most days marked as late starts or early dismissals.
I think everybody's tired of it. They're on edge.
Officially, these students have missed 8 days of classes, but that doesn't count 2 days when they were sent home after only 15 minutes. They've had only 4 full days of school since the week before Christmas.
Mother Nature's causing this, and so there's really nothing you can do about it. Got to adjust.
Many students are getting almost as weary of it as their teachers.
When it first started out, when we first got out early, it was fun and everything, but when it gets over and over, it gets really boring. Cabin fever really sets in when your house is all snowed in.
Academics aren't the only thing that's suffered. The school has had to cancel athletic events, a school play, even the annual Snow Week celebration and the coronation of a snow queen has to be postponed until March because of too much snow.
Still whipping up dangerous conditions, students were sent home early again today.
Ready, set, flip. These eager participants are trying to master the art of Aikido. It's a type of physical art, not to be confused with martial arts.
It uses a very sophisticated understanding of biomechanics, how things move, vector physics, which way energy moves naturally, and self-control. And when you put those things together, you're trying to find harmony with the world around you. And so the word Aikido, I means harmony, Ki means energy, and Do means way. So it's the way to blend harmoniously with energy.
So basically, it's a type of peaceful self-defense.
Well, it gives me some tools to be peaceful in a violent situation, and it gives me alternatives to striking back when I'm approached with negative energy. So I think it's an addition to the effort for men to be peaceful.
Aikido is a type of physical art where size is not a factor, as well as where you use your skills. These Aikido students say it works well beyond a classroom setting.
As a woman in today's society, I find it's necessary to have some type of self-defense, some way of defending against myself. And the most common situation would be me and a large person. And with the Aikido movements that you do, you don't need the muscle.
I come from years of Taekwondo, and in most cases in the real world it's not practical, whereas Aikido is.
And here's a little secret on how this physical art works.
Gravity is our friend here. We take their posture, take them to a position where they have no control, and then let gravity take them.
In Duluth, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
When visiting Tower, you'd be hard-pressed to find any evidence that the town is the holder of a state record. Driving through the city, you don't see any huge banners proclaiming the town as the holder of the coldest temperature in state history. That low-key approach is just part of the easygoing makeup of the folks in Tower. Yet just 1 year ago, the town became media darlings across the nation when the temperature dropped to -60. To Kathy Huppa, the local observer for the National Weather Service, the media hoopla was a strange thing. Her home was packed that cold winter morning as reporters from around the state waited for the old record to fall.
My husband came home and he says, "It looks like the Pied Piper with all the rats behind, because that's what it looked like when they came out of my house."
Around 9 a.m., the Pied Piper and the rats were satisfied because that's when the mercury of the Weather Service thermometer hit 60 degrees below zero. In the years since that fateful morning, Towerites have merchandised the record a bit with items like T-shirts and thermometers, but for the most part, life just continues on as usual, despite the amazement of people from warmer climates.
People called both the fellow and I that were camped here, and did it really get that cold? What are you doing living in that part of the country? How can you stand?
And speaking of things standing, will the Tower record hold the test of time? Well, some things change very slowly in one of the oldest cities north of Duluth. This old coffee ad, for example, has been greeting visitors for at least 75 years, and there's a chance the record will hold out just as long. Now, in your opinion, Kathy, do you ever think this record's going to be broken?
It's a possibility. I just hope not in my lifetime.
In Tower, I'm meteorologist Dave Anderson from the Channel 6 Weather Center.
These mice have a vice, and that's nice, because it makes them worth a fortune.
We want to try and see if they have problems with short-term memory.
You know, forgetting things like their car keys, or in this case, which way to turn in this mouse maze.
They
learned it and they forgot it because you...
That's right, because you let them sit in their cage for too long. You know,
They forget.
They forget.
Just like if you had Alzheimer's.
Right.
That's right, Alzheimer's. A USF researcher bred these mice to carry the Alzheimer's gene, which means drug companies are willing to pay big bucks to experiment with them in hopes of coming up with an Alzheimer's cure.
Yes, they are quite valuable.
Try $23,000 a piece valuable.
You think you could make a little money selling them for about $23,000 a piece?
I'll be retired in the first 6 months.
Raul Fernandez runs a South Tampa pet shop and sells about 150 mice a week, and at a fraction the cost of those lab rats.
$1.19.
Just think, Raul, 150 mice a week at $23,000 a piece. Well, you could, win the rat race.
I'd like to get a piece of the action for half of that price.
Talk about your wheel of fortune. And these guys won't forget their car keys.
I'm Lance Williams for NBC News.
Well, they can only last for a few hundred degrees, so they're not going to last for...
Have a smoke detector, have many of them, and have them so the batteries are working. You should have one on every floor, one in every bedroom, and make sure you change the batteries every 6 months.
The Toivola Meadowlands School's future looked bleak in 1993. At the end of the year, the school was scheduled to be closed for good. Community members rallied around the school and saved it the only way they could, with a state charter.
It's a great place for kids to learn. It's a place where families and community members can feel welcome and actually take an active role in the education of their child.
The TM Charter School gets public funding, but is run by a private group of teachers and parents.
The one big benefit I see in the charter is that you track children so well. Children are tracked right from the beginning, and as they move up, each staff member knows what that child is weak in, and we tend to try to correct it.
Teachers here have embraced the system as well.
I listen carefully to my parents, find out what they want, help design programs that fit the needs of their children. We sit down and at least twice a year design the program for their children.
But there are still some challenges they face. Declining enrollment means less per-student funding. The school graduated 25 students last year, with only 6 new students starting this fall.
It's a challenge for us, as it is for every small rural school in this region, that we see a shift in population and there are just not a lot of young children in areas.
The new approach to education in this Northland community has taken an old theme and given it a fresh twist.
It's a place where teachers can really be free to try new things that are based on current research, and teachers that want to be here and really want to help kids be successful they're in a great place. This is a great place to teach.
The racks at Pickles Music in Hutchinson are filled with everything from rock to rap, but country is king. Surrounded by the likes of Reba McEntire, Alison Krauss, and Alan Jackson, is the debut disc by a fellow named Steve Madsen.
You noticed Reba's right next to him, and he's above Kenny Rogers, so he's doing all right.
I've never heard of him. That's probably a good thing. Madsen keeps busy as the town's police chief when he's not carving out a niche as a budding balladeer.
You have given me so much and made me feel so loved.
Keeping the peace and keeping time aren't activities that go together as naturally as, say, peanut butter and jelly. But Steve says the new disc lets him share parts of himself that others don't often see.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot that they don't know about Steve Madsen. I'm a fairly private individual. I try to keep to myself as much as I can. But there's a lot there. Most of the songs in some way have impacted me at some point in time in my life.
And I don't want to hurt her.
It's a dream come true. It's a fulfillment of a life's goal. And, you know, for that, I'm just extremely pleased that I've been able to put this together.
Pickles Music has an exclusive on the Chief's maiden musical effort, and some unexpected radio and television publicity is making it a relatively hot commodity.
We've had some phone calls this morning. We've had some people coming in asking specifically for Steve Madsen, and I think we're going to have a famous police chief in this town here.
For Madsen, fame isn't what this is all about. He's not about to start counting sales or watching the charts.
It's already a success. I did it.
Even though
I did a story the other day about
corporation. Well, I fear that the school district is going to continue to send out information soliciting from the taxpayers for a for-profit company. If I wouldn't have gone to the post office, would they have continued to do this?
Oh yes, we caught it right away when we brought it in. In fact, I was surprised when you... Actually, we caught this at the post office at the time of mailing. The indicia that says nonprofit organization is to be used only by nonprofits. We brought this to the school board's attention. We allowed them to mail with that indicia on it because it was already printed, but they
And I've got things that start out from about the 30s and go all the way through the current 96 season last year, and I probably got 3,000 different items that address Duluth Dukes, and bring it up here every year and put it on display at the hot stove event. Right here, this is Denny McLean's cap. Denny played for the Dukes in 1963, and one of the former directors of the Dukes gave me this and told me it was Denny McLean's cap, and I think this is probably one of the most valuable, and in fact it's my favorite piece in the whole collection. It started in the 80s, and really before the Northern League was resurrected, and found a lot of people with a lot of things that they were just happy to have somebody be interested in. A lot of people were interested in just finding somebody that, hey, I remember the old Dukes, and they would basically give it to me. So it wasn't that hard. Now I think today it'd be a different story because of the league back, and just a lot of people now are interested in this stuff, and it'd probably be tougher today.
Covering his face. Oh, he's probably...
Common sense sooner or later has to prevail. We can only really warn people about the hazards of this, and every year we end up going out for people on the ice that refuse to heed the warnings.
The English Patient has taken Hollywood by storm, snagging 12 Academy Award nominations. The $35 million romantic epic was produced by Miramax.
What is it you want, darling?
4 out of the 5 Best Picture nominees are indies, including Secrets and Lies, starring Best Actress nominee Brenda Blethyn.
I think it's good news. It's wonderful. Maybe some more films will get made that maybe couldn't get financed ordinarily.
But don't count on it, says Miramax's Janet Hill.
As wonderful as this is for independent films, I think that, yes, independent films will continue to be made. I don't think it's going to be that much easier to get it done. It's still a very, very difficult process.
But Hill does expect it to get easier for theater goers.
The public wins when these smaller independent films are acknowledged by the Academy. They're movies that may not otherwise have come to the attention of a general moviegoer.
I guess that's a defensive wound.
This year's nominations are the latest in a growing trend that some say began with movies like The Crying Game and The Piano.
We can't leave the piano.
Indies traditionally have smaller budgets and avoid costly computer-generated special effects.
It proves that there is an audience out there that wants to see serious, heartfelt, adult, quote-unquote, stories.
Adult stories that this year stand to win big come Oscar time. In Los Angeles, I'm Linda Grasso for NBC News.
You have a very special talent, David.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. So do you.
How much are you prepared to give to your music, David?
Thank you for joining us. You were the original impetus for Schindler's List. You told the story to the man who would eventually write Schindler's List. How did that come about?
You know, many miracles happened in my life, and this was one of them too, because I always thinking that I will never have a chance to write the book, because everybody demand lots of money for me to write the book for me. When one day on a very hot Saturday afternoon, There were no business in Beverly Hills in this day, because when it's so hot, people are not shopping, and the door opened and strange man entered my business. And he said he's a writer, and this right away my antennas start popping out, and I say, maybe this is the guy what came over to write me the story.
And after the story was written and it became a movie, you went to see it. What did you think?
When I saw the picture, I didn't see too much of the picture, because every scene reminded me something, and Mila and I, we were more crying than we were looking. And we saw about 9 premieres around the world with Steven Spielberg. And the reaction is every time the same. When I see the movie, I asking myself, why this happened?
The last time you saw Oskar Schindler, you made a promise to him. Can you tell us about that?
When I was leaving for the United States, I said, Oskar Schindler, you make a tremendous promise that you will, since 1940 till 1945, that you will take care about your worker, that you will try to protect us, that you will try to save us. By miracle, you succeed. Those deeds has to be documented, has to be told, and I'm promising you I will try my best to do it. By miracle and help of dear God, I succeed.
Indeed you did, Leopold Page, and we thank you for doing it, and we thank you for joining us.
It is a very big deal. It is. It probably brings millions of dollars into this area, that if we did not have the race, we would lose out on it.
Oh, no, we're just filming her working, so...
Yeah, I'm watching her work too. She's
Oh,
been
okay.
very, very...
This man suffers from myopia, also known as nearsightedness. The problem occurs when light rays are focused in front of the retina instead of directly on the retina. For many of us, the problem can be corrected with eyeglasses like these or with contact lenses, but there are drawbacks.
You know, with the glasses, you'd go to bed in the evening, you'd take your glasses off, and occasionally you'd forget where you put them. And then I was so far nearsighted that it took some time to find the glasses.
A few months ago, Randy's eyes tested at 2200. Without his glasses, he was considered legally blind. Today, after surgery, his eyesight is near perfect. What Randy had done is called LASIK refractive surgery, utilizing a computerized excimer laser machine. Until recently, the surgery was considered investigational. Now, the vast majority of people who undergo this FDA-approved process are able to pass a driver's license test without glasses.
It's outpatient surgery, it's office-type surgery. It takes 10 to 15 minutes, and then people leave without a patch, and we follow them then as in the office.
Dr. Berglund uses this mobile excimer laser machine to treat his patients. Using the machine, he can correct nearsightedness and astigmatism with 2 different types of laser surgery. Which type depends on the level of correction a patient needs. The first type is called PRK. For more moderate nearsightedness, Dr. Berglund performs a procedure called LASIK. Who is a likely candidate for this surgery, and how much does it cost? In our next report, we'll answer those questions and take you into a Northland operating room to observe laser refractive surgery. Here's to your health. Michelle Lee, Channel 6 News. This machine is called an excimer laser. It's highly accurate. In the hands of a skilled physician, the machine's computer-controlled laser beam can correct nearsightedness. It does that by emitting a cold light beam that reshapes the cornea. This extremely precise laser can also correct astigmatism.
But essentially, if you don't have astigmatism, your cornea, or the front refractive surface of your eye, is round, shaped like a basketball. If you have astigmatism, then it's more oval or shaped more like a football. In other words, it has two curvatures in it, and that disparity then causes double vision in people, and it has to be corrected.
Until recently, people who suffer from myopia or astigmatism had only two options, glasses or contact lenses. Both have their drawbacks.
I would do things like scuba diving and in other swimming-related activities, or downhill skiing, or go out jogging. And contacts was my resource when I was doing that, but the contacts would blur.
Today, after laser surgery, Randy Bloomquist went from legally blind without his glasses to near normal vision.
Open both eyes real wide.
The first step to refractive surgery begins here at the tomography machine. It's part of the pre-op screening, which lays out in color the exact contours of the eyes. This map is then used by surgeons who reshape the patient's cornea using one of two procedures. One is called PRK, the other is called LASIK.
The difference is basically on how much correction you can obtain. And with the PRK, we're limited to between approximately the low and moderate nearsighted people, whereas with the LASIK, we can treat quite severely nearsighted people.
For people with severe myopia like Randy, a thin layer of cornea is gently folded back and the light from the laser reshapes the internal tissue. In less severe cases, the surgeon removes a thin layer of epithelial cells and then reshapes the cornea.
See the light?
Now that this mobile laser unit and a team of technicians travel to Duluth once a month, either surgery can be done at Dr. Berglund's West Duluth Clinic. Both are performed using eye drop anesthesia. From start to finish, either surgery takes approximately 10 minutes. Many patients see a dramatic improvement within the first day. For others, it could take several months.
I would say now that I'm totally free of glasses.
Dr. Berglund is the only Northland doctor offering laser surgery. The average cost is between $1,300 and $2,000 per eye. Candidates for this high-tech surgery are at least 20 years of age and are free of eye diseases as well as problems that either inhibit or accelerate healing. Here's to your health. Michelle Lee, Channel 6 News.
Go under the sweater all itchy and warm that meets the mittens that I wear with the head that matches the scarf. This is the stocking cap I wear on my rims on the socks that are full over the underwear crunchy and hot.
It's mighty cool reading. That's the name. That's the theme of the day. It's about 14 degrees. There's a pretty good breeze. Fortunately, the building's protecting some of it. And we're having a lot of fun. So far, I've read to about 6 different groups. I have a guest reader for the next time.
This is the jacket I wear in the snow.
ICSI, or ICSI, stands for intracytoplasmic sperm injection, which simply means taking a single sperm and injecting it into an egg. In both in vitro fertilization and ICSI procedures, mature eggs are removed from a woman's ovary and placed in a petri dish. But while in vitro fertilization, or IVF, incubates the eggs with many sperm, ICSI is more selective. A glass needle smaller in width than a human hair is used to pick up an individual sperm cell.
In this case, we are bypassing that natural selection process, and we're taking a single sperm and injecting it into egg. And this is why we don't want to do ICSI on everybody, because we feel that that natural selection process might be important.
Doctors say the hole in the egg created when injecting the sperm closes quickly and the egg assumes its original appearance within 60 seconds. ICSI can be performed for couples in which the man's infertility has not been helped with medication or surgery. It offers an alternative for couples whose male sperm count is extremely low. UW expects to do up to 40 of these procedures this year.
30% of infertility cases are due to a male factor, and within this group I would say probably about half of those individuals would probably not be candidates for conventional in vitro fertilization.
ICSI's success rate is between 20 and 25%, equal to or better than traditional in vitro fertilization. This new fertility technique was developed in Belgium in 1991. Since offering the procedure last May, UW Hospital and Clinic at Madison reports 2 pregnancies so far. Here's To Your Health, Michelle Lee, Channel 6 News.
That you have taken to try and get parents more involved with their kids?
A local school district level to try our best to be. Thank you. Hi.
And success in the job that they now have. And when
dropouts, whatever the rate, is a real concern to us. You know, our goal, and I'm sure Mr. Benson will say the same thing, is to have no dropouts at all, to have everyone succeed at school.
He died doing his job, and I guess if the good Lord calls on you to forfeit your life, I guess there's no more honorable way to do it than being what you are as a cop.
I'm proud I get an award, but I'm not proud of the circumstances for how we get it. In fact, I'm very saddened.
Dayton, do you feel threatened at all by that name recognition that they have?
And we will spend these next months back here many times. A business experience in the private sector in one form or another. And they said I'll stand behind it for 30 days. My entire focus will be on issues. It will be on, I announced this morning that I think that we should cut taxes, that we should stop spending, we need to fix the schools, we need to create jobs, and we need to put our emphasis on reducing crime.
Got him beat, huh? 23 and... Oh, that is close. Good. It's small. It's small.
Oh, man.
What's your name?
Jason.
Thanks for stopping by. 21. You're gonna have to grow if you want something better. But
shoot. Anyway.
Are you gonna get tickets anyway?
This is the rioting in Wisconsin in the late 80s and early 90s over Indian spearfishing on Wisconsin lakes. These are powerful memories for Wisconsin residents. Law enforcement agencies across Minnesota are hoping they can prevent anything like this from happening again. But a recent ruling in federal court may add fuel to the fire.
Judge Davis ruled last week that the 1837 treaty harvest could begin this spring. What we're doing is bringing people up to speed on the banned code and the implications of that code.
The code states that Native Americans can spearfish under their own laws. This controversial ruling upsets some Minnesota residents, so peace officers from around the state are planning to prevent anger from turning into violence. Some officers from St. Louis County are among those taking part in the special training.
Because of two reasons. One, St. Louis County, a large portion of St. Louis County is affected by the 1854 treaty. Then the second reason would be our county, along with 13 other counties, have entered into a mutual aid pact back in about 1992.
The Chippewa bands plan to make an announcement prior to this weekend as to what bodies of water they intend to spear.
Primarily what's affected is our public lands and public waters in the 12-county area of east central Minnesota.
DNR spokespeople say the treaty rights don't extend to private property. Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News. Most of us know that wearing green is a St. Patty's Day tradition, everything from shirts to jackets to shamrock pins. But why do people wear green? Is it because those who wear green are Irish?
He's wearing green because it's the only thing he had to match was pants.
There you go.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Is it because green is the predominant color of Ireland and we want to represent that country?
Tell me, how come you wear green?
On St. Patrick's Day? Well, doesn't everybody? I think it's a rule. I wore it for work because we wanted the customers to, feel in the spirit.
Are you part Irish?
I am not. I wish I was.
I'm about half Irish. I actually have a few delightful little markings on my blouse. Yes.
You believe in this wearing green?
Yes, absolutely. It reminds us of a gaiety and a spirit for life that people need to be reminded of.
It's not hard to find people who wear green on St. Patrick's Day, but we wanted to find the people that were a little more original and creative.
It's an occasion. I'll dress up for Valentine's Day or any occasion, and that's probably one of the fun jobs of being the receptionist here.
Good. Mary Morris, who's Irish, has the coffee mug, the dessert, and of course, the outfit. She'll also be making the St. Patty's Day dinner.
To the limit. We're going to have corned beef and Swiss cheese sandwiches on green bread, and then cream de mint cake, and a green pistachio salad, and some green shamrock cookies, and probably get the old albums out of my Irish rolls.
We also found Gary, who not only drives a green cab, but with shamrocks on it. And do you think you're more likely for people to take your cabs because they're green?
Sure, why not?
The bars take part in the holiday by serving green beer. McDonald's serves green shamrock shakes. And bakeries, of course, serve shamrock cookies, cakes, and candy. Seeing my own favorite kind of green in the Northland, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
And it has never been the individual, although it's been portrayed like that through the news, it's been the violation of the ordinance.
Oh, I love her. I won't give her up for anything.
And these are my neighbors, yeah.
World Championship Wrestling!
Look out, Julie Andrews, the wrestling rage has invaded Duluth. They didn't know it when they booked the date that the World Championship Wrestling chose the same date to entertain.
Well, I just learned of that about, 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it's well, you know, it's also theater, you know, in a sense, but I'm kind of hoping it doesn't turn into a circus.
Circus it might in the arena. Over 4,500 WCW fans will fill these seats, screaming, yelling, and chanting for their favorite wrestler. Across the hall, 2,300 fans will be doing some chanting of their own, singing along to So Long Farewell, My Favorite Things, and of course the theme song, The Sound of Music.
The hills fill my heart with the
But this is not the first time the deck will book 2 polar events.
We've got a convention group in June, the Lutheran Missionary Women, and at the same time we have the Harley Owners Group. So we kind of like that, throw a little diversity into the program here at the deck.